Well, start the podcast now. We should start doing the podcast.
We can get into it. I don't know if it'll be long or short yet, if I'm being
I
honest.
think it will probably be It'll be a very rare podcast length podcast.
That's fair.
It won't be as short as TV, and it won't be as long as a movie, but it will be podcast length.
Between the two.
The ultra rare, like
As long as it's not as long as Kendrick's or as short as like the fucking mid
or the
year, I think.
producer episode. Jesus Christ! I did come up with like next time we do this. I think I know a much better way to do that.
The producer one, yeah.
Yeah, I think like the smarter thing to do would be like for the producers I give you like 3 songs and you react to those.
Right.
And then like for the producers you bring, you just give me 3 songs.
That cuts the work literally in half.
Yeah, cuts it in half and also gives us a place to go with like the conversation. Like I think back to like Pierre Bourne and LP. It's like we did not give those two the respect they deserve. And like we could have a lot better.
Yeah, I'm in. There's
Uh,
plenty
but,
of producers out there.
I'm excited for this episode.
No, yeah, this is gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is a bit of an experiment. We're gonna be trying something. This is part one. It won't say part one in the title because that's lame. But this is part one.
Part one of two.
Yeah, of just kind of like an experiment we're doing where we want to uh to expose the other to new music and outside of the confines of this podcast.
Right.
Because that's kind of what this podcast is, like at its heart. Like us like putting each other on and talking about it and everything.
Right.
And we thought like why not blow that out?
Yeah, because I was gonna say we are not limited in any sense to
Yeah, we
just
all yeah. This is our bread and butter, but it's not the only thing we eat.
and can I say I am not used to everything you listen to. This was I won't say a challenge because that makes it seem like there was a negative side to it, which it really wasn't.
No,
But it was
it's a hill to
definitely
get over. It's a hill to
yes,
get over, you know.
yes.
But
It
I
was definitely stretching out my horizon.
yeah, but like that was the thing, man. Like I wanted to give you something that didn't feel like watered down. I was like I want him to feel I want to give him some real shit. But also some stuff I thought that you would appreciate.
It's interesting that you say that. Well, are
We'll
we
save
recording?
it. We'll save it. We'll save it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are
Yeah.
we even recording yet?
No, we've been recording.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I don't want to get too deep into it. All right, bet. Should we, before we even get to
Yeah,
that
we got
part,
a couple of things though. That's our main course. We got a little bit more. Ooh, more food analogies.
we're doing a deep dive interview in one episode? What's wrong with us?
What's wrong with us? Well, like the thing is, like it's slow news week a little bit. We just got
It is.
like one real big news that's real sad and makes us real sad.
Okay.
Uh, and then we have the Metallica deep dive, and we don't know how long that's going to be. We don't know if this is going to be a conversation that's like longer than a regular deep dive. Probably not, but we don't know if it's going to be shorter either. So we thought like, hey, Nav dropped. Why don't we do like a real quick Nav review? Because I definitely have things to say, but I don't have enough to fill out a whole episode. I gotta be honest.
No, no, yeah. I mean, honestly, the most important part of this episode to me is going to be Metallica because, like, I, I, I won't say I took a lot of notes, but I took a lot of mental like notes and like how I
I
feel about
I
many.
like that. That makes me hype. That makes me very hype for this conversation.
So should we just jump into the news since it's
Let's do
quick?
the news, quick and easy.
In another thing, I guess we need to throw this in there for the listener to understand. This is a Wednesday recording. So it's a little bit early in the news, but to be honest, I didn't find much on top of that. We have Calvin Harris coming out with Funk Wave. Did that get delayed?
Monkwave Volume 2, and I think it did.
Volume 2. Okay, I
Yeah.
am now understanding that.
I don't think
Um,
delays are as big of a deal in the pop world, but also I have no idea.
that is fair to say. I remember we actually mentioned this before a
We've
couple weeks back, and I didn't even double check if it fully came out. But regardless, we also have G Herbo coming out with Survivor's Remorse. I believe that is coming out this week. I've seen a couple of teasers about it. He's been posting about it himself on his Twitter. I know G Herbo isn't exactly on the top of either one of our lists, but he is a significant artist that comes out of Chicago.
Extremely significant. Definitely
Yeah,
someone worthy of respect. Just like,
yeah,
drill music was just never my thing.
right, exactly. So I will be listening to that. I also found out, I don't know the proper term how to say his name. I don't know if it's S or ESTG. I don't know it's STG. I don't know what it means or how to say it, I should say. This is a newer artist signed to YG. He's had out about 6 mixtapes in the last 3 years. He's dropping his first official album, which I think is a significant thing. He's coming out with I Never Felt None, with some decent features coming from Future, Jack Harlow, Bryson Tiller, MGK, who cares, and Jeezy, which is an older guy.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's God. Like, why is MGK rapping again?
I have no idea. I
Like,
got
on one
nothing.
on one level, like, I don't know. I really do like some of his like early shit, like his early mixtape shit. It was very, it was very traditional hip hop at the time.
Okay.
But
I
like, he got
to
cringy real fast.
it. He fell off quickly.
He fell off quickly and extremely hard.
Well,
But
I
like,
guess that
he didn't fall off. He found a new audience, and like,
I was literally gonna say he just shifted gears. He just went into a different entire lane.
yeah, and like, I don't think it's because he he got bodied by Eminem so bad. Like, like just
Sure,
dude, he made Eminem make a good song. That's hard. That's a
yeah,
hard thing to do.
yeah. I'm sure it did not help his confidence in any sense.
Like,
Um,
I
but
knew I knew MGK was toast when I pulled up to the Blue Store, and you looked at me and you were like, "You hear that Eminem song?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like,
yeah, so that could put you in the mindset of I probably shouldn't be rapping anymore. I don't know why you would challenge Eminem, which is considered one of the greats, but it is what it is. Um, but yeah, I will be eventually exploring this. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna jump on it right away, but exactly. Well, another thing that interests me. So Jack Harlow, his name is coming up everywhere, kind of.
yeah, he's extremely popular, and I don't get it.
I don't quite understand. His last album is extremely rated low by, I think, like critics and users.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this considered a big feature or not? Where's Jack Harlow in the industry? That's what I just wanted to ask in
Well,
general.
here's the thing, right? I think, I think he's still very popular. Like,
Yes.
I don't think his monthly streams were took an impact at all with when his last album wasn't as good.
Actually, hold on, let me check because it was very high, and I did hear that it took a dip. Right now, he's at 37 million,
Yeah.
which I mean for him is good. So, okay, I'll take it back.
Yeah.
That is
So I
for him.
do think he's like very popular. Uh but I don't know like how eager like hip hop fans are to hear him.
I don't know where he fits within the industry. Like, I feel like it's just, and
I
I
mean,
feel like what I'm about to say is going to come up later in multiple times, in this podcast. But I feel like it's just radio hip hop, which has very low value in the sense of a larger picture for the industry. It's just kind of like it's there, it's filler. Some of it's good, but
yeah.
like it's clout hip hop, radio hip hop. It serves its
Yeah.
purpose.
It's pop music when you really think about it. Like
It
it's
is
just
pop
it's a completely different aesthetic, but that's really the key difference.
because like there was a pretty long period, and even till today, I would say pop music damn near is just hip hop music.
Yeah. Well, hip
So
hop is like just the most popular genre. So
exactly,
it's natural. We love to quote that FD Singer Fire video, about how it's just now it's the thing. It's not a cool outsider culture anymore. Now it's just the main
it is
course.
a popular one, right?
You
It
know,
is elite.
yeah. And I'll say like the music world, the upside to what we're living in nowadays with music is that fuck, what was I getting at? Is that there's a lot of different like zones that you can pop off in, right?
Mhm.
You know, there's a really vibrant pop scene. Hip hop, which is the most popular, is, still only one piece of that. Right? So that's the cool part. But like the bad part is that everything just starts to sound the same.
That is very true.
You know,
Yes.
something I rant about a lot when like people bring up like country music is like how a lot of like modern country music just sounds like hip hop with like hillbilly crooning over it.
Interesting.
Well, like if you listen to like
I don't
I have
listen.
a theory. It's a joke I'm working on for my bit, my act.
How
And
serious should I take this? Just
yeah.
random.
Well, no, it's about Florida Georgia Line. It's about music. And it's
Okay.
like I'm kind of convinced they're not racist because like they clearly wanted to make hip hop music. Like their music is all 808s, the guitars are patches, there's samples, like it's just used to make country music. And it's like
Okay.
those two guys are probably like, do we really look like we could pull off hip hop? They're like, nah. Like,
I was gonna say I didn't even know it was two guys, but I'm just
yeah,
gonna take it
yeah.
because I'm not going to
No,
listen.
it's just like it literally just sounds like hip hop music nowadays, like country music does. And like that's not so far fetched. Country music and hip hop are a lot closer in the tradition of music than you would think.
I'm gonna have to like think very deeply and do research.
There's
I because
actually
I
a
don't listen to country at
there,
all. So
there is
I
actually an extremely good 15-minute documentary on Netflix about exactly that.
really,
It was like it's framed in the wake of Old Town Road, and it's
of course.
literally like analyzing the roots of country music and hip hop and the music they share. And it's only like 15 minutes long.
Okay, I will definitely. I need to do that because
Yeah.
I hate country music, and there's like I don't. If you came to me, if we did this theory of like I'm gonna listen to Metallica and like you're gonna listen to gospel music, if you said country, I would have pushed back. I would have not
No,
done it.
I'm not into country either. But like I mean, there's some stuff that I think is like kind of cool. You know, like the whole outlaw country thing, which is like still like real gritty and it's the Griselda of country music. Like that stuff is cool. But like even that, like I don't have the emotional connection. Like I admit I like that, but I don't think I could name like more than 3 albums.
You can't name anything. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like yeah. So yeah, country music is outside of my oeuvre, but heavy metal isn't, and that's how we got here.
All right, well, fair enough.
Oh,
Um,
where? How did we get here?
I I don't know. I have no idea, but please let's leave it where it is.
I don't edit the podcast that much anymore.
I will not be talking about country any further. No, I'm just playing. But we
I'm
can
not.
actually we can actually just jump into the news. The first thing I wanted to go over, and I know you don't care. We say this every time, but BET Awards has revealed their lineup for the lyricists of the year.
I don't know why
Um,
you care.
I don't care, but we need to bring this up because this is
Like
about
God, I get, but award shows, like,
yes, award shows are literally a part of their culture. um, Unfortunately, all of them suck. I don't know. Is there one single award show that's like legit for any form of media? Like, actually, I'm curious now.
um, just as someone who's like a hardcore film nerd, I think the Oscars are good on the technical stuff,
Okay,
and
what do you mean by
also like if you think of the Oscars not as like a worldwide uh like movie thing and just like for America, it's a very local contest in the grand scheme of film. They do a good job of taking all the movies that come out of the American system and like voting on like which one had the best cinematography, which one had the best editing, which one had the best sound design. More often than not, I think they're right about those.
okay, so the actual categories are good.
It's the more subjective stuff.
Okay,
Actor, actress, I think gets very uh dicey. Best Picture is a shit show, except when it's not. And like this is gonna come up later, but like I feel very similarly about award shows as I do about critics in a way, in that no one gets mad when a award show you don't care about gives something you do an award.
Hold on, say that one more time. I kind of lost it.
No one gets mad when an award show you don't care about gives something you do an award.
Okay.
Like I don't care about the Oscars, but like when they gave, I don't know, like if they were to give Sylvester Stallone the award for Creed, that was like the last Oscars I was really invested in. I would have been like, hell yeah, because like I think he deserved that independently of the Oscars telling me that. Kind of like the same way how like people who kind of don't fuck with critics, like none of them complain when a critic gives something they like a good review.
Okay, yeah. Not like a validation, but like you
No, it's
already
just like it's just people.
with the tape.
It's just like it's because these things are only brought up in conflict with each other. Very few people like care. Like
Okay. No, yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge.
but like, let's say they were to give this award to Benny the Butcher, I'm not going to be mad.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if they give it to, let me say the names, I guess, to give it understanding.
Yeah.
Baby Keem, Benny the Butcher, Drake, J. Cole, Jack Harlow, Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar. Just to set a line of like standards
For lyricists, right? Not hip hop artists.
for lyrics.
Explicitly.
Let's just set a standard. One, Jack Harlow, just no. I'm not gonna give a reason, just no.
No, I don't think he's a good. I do not think he is any sort of lyricist.
No.
He is
Exactly.
a maybe better than average male hip hop star.
Exactly.
You
So
know?
just right off the bat, that's just a no because it's not even in the it's not even in the category. He's not a lyricist. Drake, he is a lyricist, but again, no, because he didn't drop a hip hop album.
And
It's literally not a hip hop.
even if like, are we really saying Drake was a good lyricist on any of his most recent albums?
Man, we really need to get to the review because that's something I was going to bring up later. But yes, Drake is he's not just no. Okay, so we've already covered that.
Yeah.
Jay-Z literally didn't drop an album.
Yeah. Same with Baby Keem.
Literally didn't drop an album.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if we're being like fair to that, J. Cole didn't drop an
I
album.
was just about to say, like, yeah, he was on the
mixtape,
but like, yeah, he didn't drop an album either. And like, we love Cole, but like,
I love him to death. But literally, the only two that are on here is Benny the Butcher and Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Where is Curry? Where is Jid? Where is
Pusha T?
Tana Talk 4? Like, there's so much more.
I mean, to be fair, Benny the Butcher is on this list. Like,
That's fair.
And this is for artists, not albums.
But even still.
But yeah, where's Conway the Machine?
There's so much more.
Where's West Side Gun?
Where's Pusha T?
Yeah, exactly. And
But,
yeah, no, this is just absolutely whack. Like, this is just
it's a mess.
bananas.
It's a popularity contest and it's a mess.
I'll say this: like, if like this only had 2 slots and it was just the 2 who qualify, it'd be like, okay, good list. Like,
yeah, I mean, honestly,
like it was like, hey, it's down to Benny the Butcher and Kendrick Lamar. It'd be like, all right, like those are.
Bro, if I'm keeping it a stack, I'm shocked that Benny the Butcher is here.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Traditionally is.
Did you listen to Black Soprano Family?
I have not. You just told me.
I have not finished it. I listened to like half of it.
It's good, isn't it?
Dude, it's real good. I felt like I was chopping up work at an ad agency today.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. I swear I'm gonna get to it. But anyway, awards suck, but they're coming up. Those are the people pointed to it. If you can vote, please go vote for the only 2 people that deserve to be there. Moving on. Vince Staples has a Netflix show, a comedy show coming out.
Yeah.
Do you know anything?
No.
I don't know the release date, but I mean...
No, but I'm into it. We're getting right back to Lil Nas X again. I remember he was in the Old Town Road video. He was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he is.
He's a funny guy.
Is
The
this
Sprite
a new
commercials?
trend? Brandon, is this a new trend?
I would say it's an inevitable consequence of the media landscape right now.
Okay. No, I
You know, you have streaming services living or dying by their original content. You have huge names with pre-established fan bases. And low-key, they're not fucking the guy David Chase who made The Sopranos, or the guys who make Game of Thrones. You give Vince Staples creative freedom with a TV show, he's going to make something that you could probably afford to finance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember did you ever watch Killer Mike's show on Netflix?
No, when did it come out?
It came out right before the pandemic.
Okay. It was good?
It's extremely good. It's called Trigger Warning.
Okay.
Yeah. The first episode, it's challenges based on social issues. So in the first episode, he tries to go in top 3 days only giving money to black businesses.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. And LP guest stars in that episode, and it's amazing.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's a 20-minute long episode. I would want you to watch it tonight and tell me about it while I work.
It's only one episode?
No, there's 6 episodes, but that's the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one where he tries to do. Oh my god, there's one where he tries to make job training work videos, with porn.
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like this is a new trend because the one you just mentioned,
agree.
We have Vince Staples, we have Kid Cudi coming out with something soon.
Yeah, end of the month.
At the end of the month. We have Kanye coming out with his documentary. We have Chance featuring in the show Southside. So, who do you want to see next? Because it like you said, this is inevitably happening. So, who's next? Who would you want to see?
Okay, I actually have some ideas right off the top of my head. One, just because he's directed a ton of his music videos, and I think he has just an eye for what makes the shared DNA between a compelling music video and a compelling movie, would be J. Cole.
I knew you were about to say
it.
To be fair, he's in 2K this year, so
yeah, I think he as a director specifically, I would love to watch him make something.
No question.
Yeah.
Full.
Another one is after some of the videos for leading up to his album this year, give Denzel Curry a kung fu movie right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Give Denzel Curry a kung fu movie, and Jid can have a cameo as a ninja. And
we love to see it. No, yeah, I'm trying to think now because I just finished Atlanta, or the last season 3. And then season 4 is coming out, I'm pretty sure, this month.
Yeah.
Did you finish it yet?
No, I haven't even started season 3. I've been real bad.
It gets weird. I'm not even gonna lie. It
gets really weird. I know. People say season 3 is pretty weak.
Really weird. There was points where even I was I don't know, what am I walking away with? But I want another artist like Childish Gambino, someone weird but very talented, spread across the board.
Yeah.
To come out with it. The only person I can think of that is relative in the same talent field that's branched across multiple medias already would be Jamie Foxx. I would love to see him make a show.
Well, he has a bunch of stuff. He just made a movie.
He made the movie?
Yeah, he wrote and directed it, and he stars in it.
What is it called?
It's called Day Shift. It just came out. He hunts vampires.
A Shift?
Day Shift.
Day Shift.
Yeah, he's on Netflix.
No, you're lying.
I would say Jamie Foxx. Maybe this is my bias, but I think Jamie Foxx is more of a movie person than a music person at this point.
This is already out?
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I just granted your wish. It's the number one thing on Netflix. I'm shocked you don't know about it.
I literally don't open up streaming applications. That was the first time I opened up Hulu in 5 months.
It's in that. Oh yeah.
But I don't open any of them. So
you're missing out. Streaming's great.
Say less. And Snoop Dogg is in it. Okay.
Yeah, I think Robert Downey Jr. is in it.
Megan Good,
Do you
Dave
know they're
Franco.
like best friends?
No,
Jamie
no.
Foxx and Robert Downey Jr. That's weird.
It's Hollywood. Hey, I'm so I'll be watching that and I will be giving a review.
I've
Not
yet
a
to
review.
watch it, but it's definitely something I will be watching.
I bet. I'm in.
Yeah,
Um, moving on to unfortunately very, very sad news.
yeah.
This is like the second or third time this has happened.
When we
Um,
talk about something and then it becomes uncomfortably familiar.
yes. Over the week, PNB Rock was unfortunately murdered, shot and killed while he was eating breakfast at, or not breakfast, but eating at Roscoe's Waffles and Chicken with his girl. She posted the address, and about 20 minutes later, some very terrible people on this planet came to attack him, shoot him, and unfortunately kill him.
I'm just gonna say something right now.
Okay.
I think like if you think that girl posting the location had anything to do with the outcome,
Not blame her at all.
no, that is the. I don't even think it actually did anything. I don't think it factored
You don't
into
think
what.
it's related to
No,
him?
not at all. I think it's incredibly stupid to think it's at all related.
Here's the one thing, and honestly, I swear to God, this is not me against the girl. I feel terrible for the family, for the girl, his daughter, everyone. I do not blame her in any sense, even if it's not connected. Perfect. But this is like the sixth artist that we lost, where something was posted about their location online, and then they literally die within the next hour or so. Again, I hope it's not connected at all. I know there's terrible people out there, but this really sucks.
As far as I understand, like he was murdered literally like minutes after it. I don't think. I think it was like literally so fast it was like impossible.
Right.
Yeah. So like I just think, I just think, look.
And that's the narrative now. Like, you know that is literally the narrative.
Yeah, because people are fucking idiots. Like
I mean, it is what it is, but that's how like social media just kind of works now.
that's why
Like,
like I think we should get rid of social media.
okay, we can't just get rid of social media, bro.
I think I think we can. Like we got rid of like other things. We got rid of like the draft.
I mean, okay, that's I
And
don't know
that's
if
not even the biggest thing. The biggest thing I don't feel comfortable saying.
interesting.
It begins with an S. Like
Now I gotta think. Are we going into cuddling? But anyway, it's a very terrible loss. He's been pretty influential in the community. I feel like it kind of sucks. Like right after we talk about
yeah,
it,
no, it's just incredibly unfortunate what happened. And like from what I hear, I don't even think he was he was connected like that, right?
not that I'm aware of. I did see some things pop up on Twitter and Instagram referring some of his recent interviews. Apparently, he had an interview like literally a week before this has happened of him speaking about just him getting that bad energy. He would go out with his girl, and like his girl would be doing certain stuff, like, "Hey, let's go here," and he'll be like, "We can't do that. Like we literally like I am fairly well known. I am wealthy. People will be coming for me." And he told a story about how he's at this one location and she had started to post his location and he was like, "We literally can't do that. We need to leave now." They ended up leaving the area. He saw this car following them, followed them to the next location, and like fully tint up. This is his words again. Like this is not me just rambling, but it was doing the interview. He was saying like it's a fully tint out car. Next thing he knows, he goes in the store. People come in loud as hell, making a riot. Come up to him, making him scene. And he was like, "Bro, I'm with my girl and like daughter," and then he leaves. Luckily, nothing happens, but like he was like stuff like that just kind of happens all the time. So even if he's not connected, like unfortunately, this is the life that these artists and popular people live in. There's just terrible people out there, and like the fact that you exist with money alone is for a reason to die.
Yeah.
So even if he wasn't connected in a sense of like gang warfare, drugs, whatever it might be. It's just kind of the lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, it's unnecessary bloodshed, and it's just something you don't want to see.
Not at all.
Yeah,
What a terrible loss.
terrible
But
loss.
that is the sad news of the week.
Yeah,
We
yeah. All right. Should we talk about Nav?
carry on to our
Uh,
review.
our review. We're going to be doing a little quick review of the Nav album, "Demons Protected by Angels."
A very, very light overlay of a continuation of our conversation, I feel like.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely a going to be a repeated subject. Like there's just something about this brown rapper that just makes us go fucking crazy.
I literally, when you text me that, I was like, this is the one thing that like we need to butt head. There's something that we have to counter, like against each
Yeah,
other. And like this is just naturally I'm taking that
yeah.
placeholder or something. Um sh- I don't know. How do you want to jump into it?
I want to hear your thoughts first.
I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't listen to it right away. I put most of my attention towards Metallica this week. I eventually got to this album, Demons Protected by Angels. I want to say around maybe this Sunday. Um, the initial listen to it right off the bat. This is probably the best production that he's had yet. Um, in terms of lyrics, I think there are better lyrics, but unfortunately, the exact same flow that you hate.
Hmm.
And it
That's
also
interesting. That's interesting because I disagree with those points a little bit.
hold on.
Uh,
Um, the lyrics were slightly better compared to like some of his older work because he does not have the best lyrics in general. Um, but I think the message was relatively the same that he's trying to get across, which is kind of unfortunately just the bubble that he's put into. And I don't think he's going to make any effort or has made any effort to go into another lane. Um,
that's definitely true.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I don't think he has made any effort to change his sound.
No, not at all. It's a very if it's not broke financially and popularity wise, he's not going to fix it.
I'm
Uh,
so happy you said that.
yep. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crazy. Um, Besides that, I will say the features are probably better than any other album in terms of how they work into the album. A lot of them in the past, not that they were bad features in any sense, but like I don't feel like he collabed very well with them. Whereas on this one, Deadshot is phenomenal. Never Sleep was done very, very well. The one time single with Don Toliver in the Future was very well.
Yeah, I agree.
So in terms of the features that are on the album and the collaboration, in terms of like adding 1+1 and actually making it two, I think it's done much better.
Yeah,
Um, I do not rank this crazy high or anything like that. I will give it like a C or B probably. Um, but it is significantly better than all his other albums. Like just structurally, sound wise, quality from there. Um, I will let you go because I've been talking for a while.
yeah. No, well, I just wanted to hear your thoughts because like I have a couple rants. I have one rant.
Okay.
So I don't know if I want to start with the rants because like it's kind of negative, and I'm kind of gonna put you in a chokehold and make you tap a little bit.
No. I was gonna say we've prepared for this. We've discussed
Or
how we're gonna go into
if
it.
I should start with my other thoughts on the album. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. My the thing
No,
that just absolutely
we want
pisses
the
me
good
off.
stuff, but the other stuff.
I think I'm gonna start with the bad stuff because
Okay.
it's in the first track of the album.
Okay.
And it's just like, oh my god. I just this is the worst opening track on maybe any album I've ever heard. And it pisses me off all the bitching and moaning he has about the industry because I
Mm,
don't think there's an artist working today who has gotten more help from the industry than Nav.
okay.
And I have the numbers to back it up.
Okay.
So
And
here's
you did research, so
yeah.
let's
So
see.
like I don't. First off, like I think one of the issues you and me like our conversation has is that I think our conversation around Nav has always been like a comparing and contrasting with Belly.
Very true.
And like I think that's interesting because I always think like comparing and contrasting is always more interesting than like debating.
Okay.
So like I don't think it's a bad thing that that's how we focus our conversation, but I do think it's limiting
Okay.
because, and specifically I think it's limiting because it implies that Nav is like a more successful artist on a business level. And I actually don't even think that's true when you run the numbers on it a little bit.
Okay, let's hear the numbers.
Okay, because here's the thing, right? I have let me pull it up. Let me pull up my evidence. All right, and like that's just the thing is that he bitches about like not having like industry support when what he doesn't have is the support of the culture,
Correct.
and those are two different. He has gotten so much support from the industry. Now
Okay.
I have a short list of rappers,
By
right?
the way, that I fully agree with, by the way.
Yeah, so I have like a short list of rappers who have like more streams for the year, total streams. And like
Okay.
I think like Spotify streams are like a very limited way to gauge an artist's success, but it's historically how we do it, so this is what I went off.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I
Yeah.
think that's, at least for what we discuss, I think that's important because I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah. So like artists that have over triple no, almost triple his like like total listens, the baby.
Like the month. Okay.
I think it's for the year total for the year.
Okay.
It's the baby,
Mm-hmm.
G Easy,
Okay.
Little Peep,
Okay.
Suicide Boys, The
Mm-hmm.
Kid Leroy,
Okay.
Russ, Roddy
Yep.
Rich, and 6ix9ine. All these people have like a significant number more streams than
Okay.
Nav. Uh,
Correct.
the hip hop artist that is like closest to Nav in terms of numbers is Little Pump. And
Okay.
like, do you think Little Pump has a good career right now, just from a completely business perspective?
No, no, no. He has a terrible
Yeah,
like
he just posted
personality.
he's posting porn on his Twitter now to get attention.
Correct. That is a
And
challenge.
so now this album uh is his sixth album. Can you
Mm-hmm.
name like so my point is like from a business perspective, like you can describe him probably most accurately as good enough.
Okay.
You know, he's not some underground artist with this huge fan base. He's good enough to like justify it on a spreadsheet. On top of that, you know, I've gone through like user reviews and ran like user data numbers on like what people are feeling about his like albums, and it's not great. Like it's not like he gets clowned on by critics and embraced by fans.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that fans are just as savage, if not more, to Nav than
So
the critics are. So I think this idea that he's like some underground, and all of this assumes that he's not an industry plant because like I don't think that matters here or there. So I'm just assuming he isn't.
So I guess, and I actually like this. I'm glad you took this route. Like, I'm not even joking, because since we were comparing it to Belly, it's a very different type of discussion or argument when we're doing a comparison to him specifically. Just because Belly is also relatively a smaller artist.
He's a much smaller artist, and I wonder if that's even a bad thing.
No, no, no. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and that's not to go against Belly. But you're right. Most of our conversations have literally been in a comparison sense.
Yeah.
Now that we step back away from that, more just focus on Nav himself. I feel like a lot of the discussions that we've had specifically on why like we either do or do not like him is based on one, his quality, because obviously that, and two, a lot of things that like we focused on in terms of if the industry or like you said the culture, which I think is more accurate, does not accept him. I don't think he's like even big enough to receive that much hate. Like I feel like one of the conversations that we were having is that like a lot of people hate listen to him or meme listen to him. I don't think anyone hate listens to anything. I don't do that, period. Like
I
I
don't.
wouldn't sit there to listen to something to like destroy it or go negatively towards it. But
Yeah,
I
that
do
might have been a bit much. Meme listen though, I think is a
that's
real
fully.
thing.
He is 100% a meme artist, and
Yeah,
that's because of the position that he's in. You're
yeah,
right. He is not some huge artist.
yeah.
And so it's easy to take someone like him who is on the lower edge of the popularity scale in reality and like make it a meme. He's in that perfect position
Well,
because like no one's going to like. I just feel like the attention that we've applied to him because we were comparing him to Billy, we have a mindset that like he's big. When I
yeah,
don't think that's the case in the
yeah.
slightest. I think he's
Well,
really on the lower end of the popularity scale.
well,
I think he is
I
popular
think.
and has a
Well,
sense.
I think. I think it's not necessarily that he's not very popular either, right? I think it's who's listening. That's
Right.
the point I'm trying to get to. Because, like,
And I feel
he
like
is.
listeners are either actually fans or the people making the memes.
I think the listeners are people who don't critically engage with music.
That's enough.
I
Okay,
think college frat guys.
this is perfect.
Because,
So
like, because
now that you said
I've
that,
done a little bit more research. I have some more numbers, but continue.
no. I was gonna say because this is a perfect. Remember when I said earlier, like I'm so glad you said that, like in all capitalizations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I give the numbers first before I bring it up. So
Well,
go ahead, like because the numbers are those are real things, and you know I like numbers. So like
yeah.
in reality, what else did you find?
Well, like for example, like I compared him against some other artists that like I consider to be popular, right?
Right.
I compared him to Denzel Curry. Got a bunch more streams than him. I compared him to Jid. A lot more than him too.
So a lot more. You're saying Denzel and Jit were more, right?
No. Nav had a lot more listeners than both of those guys.
Okay.
I
Okay.
compared him to a bunch. Run the Jewels was another one. All the Griselda guys. He has a bunch more listeners than all those guys.
Okay.
So the question becomes like, who's listening to him? And I think because there was something you said like you were talking about, oh, like he tours for his fans. So I looked into that, and like, no, he doesn't.
Okay.
Like he has not. He has done two tours. One was in 2018. One was in 2019. The 2019 one, he was opening for Schoolboy Q. Which, hey, that's not a bad comment. That's not a bad ticket.
Oh, yeah, that's fine for
Yeah,
him.
that's not a bad
That was
ticket. I,
pretty good.
no hate for that. But he was and granted, much smaller tour. He was the headliner for his other tour with another artist who I can't remember, and
Mhm.
he couldn't sell enough tickets to justify. He had to cancel shows.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When I
Yeah,
say he's touring for his fans, like even still, I don't think
but
he has enough fans to actually like be that guy. You know?
where does he get booked though? Because you brought this up.
Okay.
He does get booked at big music festivals. So what does that mean? That means the people who like Nav are the people who will go to a music festival and take time to go see him, but won't spend the money on a ticket.
Specifically for him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that just means that like look, and like there are plenty of artists who have this fan base, I think both good and bad. I think Don Toliver has this fan base. I think Travis Scott has this fan base. I think those are good artists.
Okay.
I
So
think DaBaby has this fan base. Like,
this is exactly the direction that I wanted to take. And this isn't even like some defending Nav shit. Like honestly,
no, yeah,
this is a general like interest, like a point that came up in my mind, and I was like, nah, Brandon's gonna push back. And then you said this earlier today. You brought up that you was listening to the Black Soprano family, and I'm not gonna compare him to that. But when I asked, is it a contender? You said it's kind of hard to say, and you said it's a lot less artsy than what I usually like. And then I thought about it. I just think in general, and like this can apply to you specifically just because like we're talking about you and like not liking Nav in general, but this can apply to a lot of different people that I feel like fit within this category, including you, me sometimes, and a lot of other people. You don't like radio hip hop. You don't like cloud hip hop. And that's exactly what Nav is, and he is on the lesser end of like radio hip hop. These are the people you go to festivals for that are just the masses that is mass produced as a commodity. Like it's a brand. And like the reason I say that, if I pull up Rap Caviar on Spotify right now and I give you the names, you don't listen to Little Tecca.
No,
You don't listen to Moneybag Yo. You don't listen to Lead. You don't listen to Nav. You listen to Little Baby when it comes up, but in reality, you don't really listen to him. You
not
don't
actively. I don't listen to Little Baby. I like Little Baby, but
I know, but I'm just saying, like, there's no shot in hell you're going to just press play.
Yeah, I don't listen to Rap Caviar for that reason.
And then that's what I'm saying. There's the Baby. There's Sleepy Hollow, which I don't even know if you know. G Herbo, Key Glock. I think the only names that I saw out of the 50 songs here that I know you've genuinely told me that you've listened to is Travis Scott,
yeah,
Don Toliver,
yeah,
which you just recently listened to,
very recently.
Little Uzi, who you don't really be talking about like that, but I know you like him.
I do like him. Yeah, it's not my style, but like Little Uzi is just so good that like
exactly. So again, I fully counted him because he's just Little Uzi. You can't.
No, I love Uzi. I'm just not. He's just not one of my golden boys. But yeah, I like Uzi.
But in reality, you don't listen to Little Baby. You don't listen to Future. You don't listen to Young Thug. You don't listen to Gunna. You don't listen to Polo G. You don't listen to YBN Boy. You haven't even heard the DJ Khaled album that I told you to listen to. So like in reality, you just don't like this genre, subgenre of hip hop in any sense. And Nav is on the lesser end of that subgenre.
Yeah,
so in reality,
that's probably fair. But
you don't like anything that falls under this because there's no, not that I'm not going to say no value, but like everything has a place in the industry.
Hey, give me 1 second.
But in reality, yeah, I just feel like in general, don't get me wrong, I understand he is not high quality, but I feel like in general, this type of music, you like when you sit down and you play music, and it's not just you. I do the same thing. I would say I'm about 75-25. 75% of the time, I'm going to listen to something that's extremely high quality that I personally connect to and like. So I'm going to listen to Jit. I'm going to listen to Denzel Curry. I'm going to listen to Pusha T. But like, there's also probably 25% of me that's like, I'm going to listen to the new Future album because I genuinely like it. I'm going to listen to Playboi Carti. I'm going to listen to Yeet because I like that style of radio clout hip hop. And I don't think you ever do that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, like, I listen to Playboi Carti when he drops. Just because, but that's about, yeah, but you're right. That's about it. You know?
So I feel like you shouldn't even like this.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair to an extent, I think. One, okay. I don't think that, and I don't think you're saying this, but one, that doesn't delegitimize my criticism of him.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And two, like, I do think there's a functional difference between like what Nav is doing and like what a Little Tecca, what a G Herbo is doing, because I think for Nav it's closer to like he's trying to be that artsy guy and failing, but being accepted into that cloud rap lane. Because like think of like no, what's the name of this fucking album?
Demons Protected by Angels?
Yeah, that's
how many artists do you know that are like literally talking about angels and demons? I have a whole playlist dedicated to like fighting demons.
It's such a pretentious playlist.
Okay, but you have to understand.
But like that's my point. Like it can't be pretentious. But like that's my thing. Like if it's pretentious, that's because he's trying to be artsy. That's just my point.
I don't know,
Like
bro.
I think you said I think a lot of what you said was on the money. I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just adding some nuance here.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing. Like I do think you were mostly on point, right? I do think it's like weird though that like this is this is how you know you were right because like my counter argument has nothing to do with like what you actually said. I do think it's weird that like someone like Jid isn't on Rap Caviar.
It's very weird.
Like he's extremely popular right now. Like
But it's interesting because, like you said, if you look at the numbers, him and Denzel Curry
yeah,
apparently don't even match up to this. I won't
yeah.
say no name, but like
Well, this guy
this
who like who literally can't sell tickets on his own, like
right. That's exactly what I'm saying. But like
like
in reality, I'm sure
and
Jid is going to sell out a show.
yeah,
Denzel's
absolutely.
going to sell out
Like
a show.
and like I do think there is like that those artists that are like festival artists.
Mhm.
My other thing though is that like I don't know, like I do like shit like the Griselda stuff though, which I think is
Uh,
also less artsy, but it is a completely different thing.
okay.
You know, I don't. I think another. I guess like what I'm just trying to say is like let's just make it clear that like these aren't the only two types of music that there is.
You mean like hip hop and then artsy? I mean
Yeah,
radio
like
and
I think radio hip hop is not like because I think my tastes are fairly mainstream, but yeah, you're right. It's not radio hip hop at all.
right.
Yeah,
And
like
that's the thing, neither one of we don't even like the radio. I don't play the radio.
yeah,
Like I hate the radio.
but like Rap Caviar is basically the radio.
Exactly. I don't play rap caviar.
Yeah, but
And
that's
so I feel like just in general, I have somewhat of a little bit more tolerance for it.
yeah.
Or I just enjoy it a little bit more.
Well, that's all well and good, but like my point is that like my main point is just that the industry has been awfully nice to Nav. Shut the fuck up. Like you're him, his fans, shut the fuck up. You've been given like way more chances than most artists. I just don't want to hear about it. That's all I'm saying.
No, I the point where he's like the industry and then culture and the difference, fully spot on.
Yeah,
Like the
it's
culture
just
does not accept
it
him.
comes across like whiny bitching, and I just it that's if it was any other artist, I would have turned it off. But my commitment to this podcast made me listen through, and then we'll get to the rest of the stuff because we're already an hour in. Uh,
Christ.
I do think this is a higher quality album for sure, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I think he came into his own as a producer. Just based on this album, I think like the production on it was really great. I think he pulled together like all the different parts of music in a way that he just never has before. And the part I disagree with you on is I think his lyrics are the same as ever, like just basically like AI generated. Like that's why I think what Fantano did was funny, is because people have been saying Nav's lyrics are written by AI for 8 years now.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. Um
There's some highlights, but like
yeah.
like you
But
said,
no, I do think
the
so.
message and the theme and the flow has not improved.
Well, no, I think the flow's improved. That's what I think. That was my other big point of disagreement. I genuinely think him like his delivery, his performance, and his flow. I think have all not like massive, but like a strong step in the right direction. I genuinely think that.
Do you think that's consistent throughout, or like the actual good stuff?
I don't know. I don't know if it's consistent throughout, but it doesn't. But I also think it doesn't. I don't think this album ever gets to the lows of some of the of basically all of his previous work.
Right.
I think basically every song in this album is better in that regards than pretty much everything else he's made.
Yeah.
But you're right, it isn't consistent throughout the album.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think Deadshot's a great song. I really like the one with Travis, the one with Don Toliver. I do gotta listen to it again. I think he benefits from the shorter songs because because I think he has like very diverse production, but not really the lyrical talent to like
Push it through.
push it through for 3-4 minutes. So like
Right.
a bunch of like crazy different sounding 2.5 minute songs. I'm like, okay, that's good.
I can do that. Right.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I do think this is a strong step in the right direction, but I don't think it's particularly great. I don't even. It's fine. Like if someone was
Yeah,
like,
like
"Oh yeah,
I
like
said,
I vibed to
C.
this one," like to me,
A
like
C.
I felt like a lot of his previous work was literally too like the lack of effort in it ruined my vibe. Nav has
Mhm.
literally ruined my high before.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Like, but like
J-
this one, like if someone's like, "Yeah, this is something I vibe to," I'm like, "Okay, I get it." Like everything is on point enough.
Mhm.
So yeah, that so overall, I like the album a lot more. It's just that like I'm like I have like an allergic reaction to this persecution complex he has.
Okay, I get that. Okay, then let's close it out. I said a C on good terms.
Yeah, I would say a C. I would say a C minus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, and like not even joking, considering the grading scale that we've taken now, that's more on like an education grading scale instead of a 1 through 10 that
Yeah.
I like more.
It
That I think
allows for more nuance.
exactly. I think a C is appropriate.
Yeah, I would go with a C if I'm being if I'm being generous, I would go with a C. If I
Right.
was being annoyed by the first track, I would go with a D.
It's one out of like
I don't
90.
care. I don't care.
Well,
Let's
it's interesting.
transition.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the first track. Let's go into Metallica because I have some thoughts.
Purvis, you listen to Metallica.
I listen to Metallica. I'm just gonna just start off right off
Yeah,
the bat.
I want this is let me start it off. Give me your initial thoughts on the album and then I'll give you some context about who Metallica is and like what this album represents in their discography.
Look, I got to take a step back from the album. I just need. This is considered heavy metal, correct?
Yes. Specifically thrash metal, but yes, this would be authentic heavy metal.
Okay. So understanding coming into this before I even get to the album, coming into this, I do not listen to rock music. Under my previous thought, rock music broke down into multiple subgenres of heavy metal, scream,
Screamo, yeah.
classic rock, and things of that nature. I didn't realize heavy metal was entirely different from rock. Um,
They share a common ancestor.
okay,
Yeah. But there is I would say the difference between heavy metal and rock, like there is like stylistic and genre differences, but the biggest difference is cultural.
okay,
Think of rock like as almost like a much more diverse version of like that radio. Like almost everything in rock is like meant to be like put on the radio. Like albums are very secondary.
okay,
Heavy metal, much like hip hop, has a very vibrant culture around it, and it's just led to like artists really focusing on like delivering for their fans. A lot of the conversations around music and like how music is delivered, consumed, and like talked about by its fans are very similar between heavy metal and hip hop in a way that like rock music and all the stuff that like comes out of rock music isn't.
okay. Now, see, I wouldn't have known that. So that's just kind of my base knowledge on the genre in general.
Yeah.
I will say right off the bat that considering my personality and my previous taste of music, I won't say I'll say this, but it's not in a negative sense. This is very hard for me, Brandon.
Yeah, I
It was
got
very
you.
I listen to normally very calming music just in my own time. I'm a very calm person. I try to do everything slow and relaxed.
Yeah.
In the opening track, I literally had to pause.
What
So,
was your thought like in that first, like the intro?
okay. My initial thought was, what the heck is going on? I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know where to go to because it starts off actually slow. Like it starts off very smooth, and I was like, oh, "This is nice," and then it pops off.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of emotion, a lot of noise. It was very cluttered. Um, but now that I genuinely listened to the album, I think like 10 times. I
Wow.
tried to get many times as I could. I'm so serious. Um, I understand it better now, but I will say hitting that initial play, it is hard to get into the mindset, the mental state of I'm listening to heavy metal.
Okay, so like that is so valid. I would
Okay.
say, with probably the exception of dance music, I would say heavy metal is probably the hardest genre to get into.
Okay.
Except maybe like if you're a well, I don't know, because like most people I know who listen to heavy metal, like exclusively, like metalheads, if you will, most of them are also like pretty cool with hip hop. Like they kind of view it as like the only other thing they like.
Mhm.
Um, but I completely forgot where I was going with this. But yeah, it's a hard one to get into, just because like sonically it's overwhelming.
It's just a
It's
lot
just
going on. And I won't say that it took away from the experience because, like, this isn't
that
meant
is the
for me.
experience.
Right. I was going to say it's not meant for me. So people that genuinely do listen to this, like, this is perfect. This is
Yeah,
what is meant to happen.
yeah. It's kind of like being like, oh, why aren't the Migos more chill? It's like that's not what they're for. Like,
Like that's just not why you listen to them. Um, so that was the initial thought. That's what I wanted to just say at first about the genre. That's what I took away right away. Now, in terms of Metallica, I quickly realized that I didn't know that they were heavy metal. I didn't know how many people were in the group. I didn't know what they looked like.
yeah,
so like I was coming in like legit blind.
that happens all the time with rock music.
Okay.
I listened to the Black Keys for like I think 9 years before I saw a picture of the guys.
Okay.
Like
Well,
literally, like one of their albums is in my top 50 of all times. Did not know what they looked like, and when I did, I'm like, I don't know who does what.
that's a great way to look into
That
it.
is something that
Uh,
happens even from people who are fans of the genre.
Jesus. I mean, if that and that's the standard, I get it. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um. Well, Brandon, you are the lead of this conversation. Do you want to go track by track? Do you want to go initial thoughts and then further on? Do you want to just go into questions? What's going on?
Uh, I think I want to do. I think first. Oh, the first thing I want to do actually, I want to ask you. I told you this was a concept album. What do you
Okay.
think the concept is?
Okay. So I thought about this a lot because you told me it was a concept album before I listened to it.
And to me, like, now granted, this album's been a part of my life since I was like 12 years old.
Okay. So you have that connection.
Yeah, I have this connection. This has been like one of my favorite albums my entire life. Like,
Okay.
yeah. Um, completely
So
forgot.
it's like, what do I think the concept
Yeah,
was?
so the concept to me seems incredibly obvious.
So here's the thing. Well, it was very difficult for me to listen to it. Not that I didn't want to, but it was just kind of hard. The first listen, I had no idea what was just going on in general
Yeah.
because I was still just trying to like grasp. Like it's a lot going on in my mental state. When I think of a concept album, it is very deep and intellectual, and you're supposed to listen to every like little part of every
It's a
song to get
narrative.
the picture. Right.
Yeah, this
To
is
get the
not a
big picture.
narrative.
This is not a narrative. What was interesting, I had to learn about a concept without fully focusing on the lyrics. Eventually, when I pulled up the lyrics, I did have a deeper understanding of more of like the themes that was about it, the tone that was going into it, just like in general what the lyrics meant. I understood the concept was more about the legal system being on, um, Jesus, I'm blanking out now.
Oh,
The
that's
death penalty. Um, just like in general, I knew that's kind of what it was more centered towards. Now, what was interesting that I had to go into, I had to learn how to learn a concept more than just the lyrics, I feel like.
yeah, that's definitely something you got to do with this album. Now, I think it's funny that you go with the legal system
Okay.
because this is okay. So this is the first album in a trilogy of concept albums.
Okay, no idea.
Yeah,
Didn't know.
this is. Uh, however, like the idea that like oh the legal system like that is a concept of the third album in this trilogy.
Okay.
The album is called "And Justice for All." It's very on the nose,
And
and
now,
and it does appear in the title track of this album. Like this, the title track of this album does have like ties to the legal system.
mhm.
But the thing I kind of like, and it's kind of a type of concept album that you don't get as much in hip hop, or really in any genre nowadays. And it's a concept; it's not a narrative. And the concept for this album, it becomes incredibly clear once you know it, is death.
Right.
Every song on this album is completely different, completely unrelated to each other, but they're all about death.
So, what was interesting enough to me, because I felt like once I got to the lyrics, I understood that it was centered around death. When I started to peel back the layers and like start thinking about it, not just the music, but outside of the music, that's where I started to like start thinking about like the results of the death penalty, the results of people having free will and like being able to choose the life of another person. The
You
thoughts of
just free will is the concept of the second album.
okay, is this the first one or the second one?
This is the first one. So the first one is Ride the Lightning. It's
Jesus
about
Christ.
death. The second one is called Master of Puppets. It's about free will. And like all
Wow.
the songs are about like either like the song Master of Puppets is about like a drug addiction, something that makes you powerlessness. The first song is about domestic violence, something that makes you feel powerless. It's about like
Wow.
having people take away your free will.
Okay.
It's
No,
kind of
so
crazy how much you're hitting down on like what this entire thing is about.
yeah, I was really about to say I didn't even know the other albums existed. So um I don't know what to say. With that being said, I'm not gonna lie. And this is full props to the genre. I'm not gonna sit here and say like I'm about to learn heavy metal and like all this other stuff. But like I will fully give props to this. It does a really good job. If you want to sit back and step away from the music, it does a good job of making you like grasp something,
Yeah.
a larger picture. And I think part of that, the reason I said I need to learn a concept without lyrics, I feel like unlike hip hop, there's a lot of not silence, but quiet moments in the album without lyrics. Like
A
it's
lot of
just
instrumental passages.
right. It's literally just music. And so having to actually feel emotions through this guitar, this drum, this bass, whatever it is, it allows you to think more openly about the concept.
Is that
And I feel
is
like a
that
lot
something
of
you enjoyed?
I did not enjoy it nor anything like that,
Yeah.
but I didn't really think about like comparing it to the hip hop because I feel like when you get a concept album in hip hop, like it's a story. Like
Yeah.
it's full. You jump into this 10-page story. You reading the story front to back, and you are told what's happening.
Yeah. Good Kid, Mad City.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think like that. I think that's because like narrative albums like play to the strengths of the genre, which is lyricism, right? And more conceptual albums play to the strengths of heavy metal because like there's a lot you can do when you can just use the music.
It's literally just the
You know, and
music.
like, you know, there are two people in this band, or at least two people who made this album, who are like classically trained musicians. You know,
Mhm.
I think something that I really like, and one of the reasons why I thought it would be interesting to introduce you to this album specifically, is that like intro in Fight Fire with Fire, because something that like once it clicks, I think the whole genre becomes a little bit more approachable. Is
Okay.
that like when you turn off all the distortion, all the noise, as you would probably call it,
Mhm.
heavy metal sounds like classical.
Okay.
Like that
Interesting.
like that first opening guitar riff sounds very,
Oh yeah.
you know, classical. You know, and like if you're actually playing a guitar, like the difference between like playing like the solo and like that opening passage is not very big.
Mhm.
Uh
No, I would say then, since we're discussing the
the first track.
musician
Yeah.
basically, Um, wow. Like, just wow. Power
Yeah,
to them. That is very impressive because, like, I hold or I place special value in people like Anderson .Paak because he does the music. He does
yeah,
the actual music. The biggest difference between hip hop and heavy metal, since
yeah,
we're comparing the two as to the podcast, hip hop, a hip hop song is constructed, it's engineered, it's produced. So the artist can literally give one verse, be out the studio for a month, come back and give another verse. They put the little pieces together, they put the beat together, they put the 808s together, and it's composed into a song. And like then it's released. The difference between that and heavy metal, like this is like a one take, everybody's sitting in a room and we're going to go through this song with full passion. And like the talent and the difficulty of doing some of these things, when you told me four people was in this band, I thought it was impossible.
yeah,
The talent is insane.
yeah.
And the fact that they're sitting there and like essentially doing a concert in a studio every time they do this
Well,
is
actually, I want to bring this up really quick. That's actually not how heavy metal is made.
okay.
So everything is recorded live. There's a lot of modern metal, and this is very divisive. I don't really have an opinion. Some of it uses like drum machines,
Okay.
essentially the same things you would use in hip hop, just different noise packs, different ways of doing it. So that is a trend that's going on in like the last like 10 years. Um, but this everything is recorded live, but it's all done one at a time.
Okay.
When you
Because this
perform
was
it, and like generally like you need to play it together to like figure out the song,
right.
right? Like you can't, like, unlike a hip hop song, you can't write it in the studio. You got to be able to figure it out. But
Mm-hmm.
recording it, it is like you stop, you record the guitar, you get the best take you can. And what's actually super interesting is like the way people like make these, specifically this album, is they record like riffs. So like in Fight Fire with Fire, that like the thing that plays like during the verses, that would be
Okay.
described as a riff, something that like you sing on top of. Like people just like record that and then pass it around on tapes called riff tapes. It's not all dissimilar to like when old school producers used to hand out beat tapes.
Mhm. Curious then, because
But the thing is
you
like,
said it could be little pieces kind of added together. I feel like it's a lot more difficult with even that because this riff, someone had to sit down and literally make it. Like it's not
yeah,
computerized. I feel like at
yeah,
least speaking of this album, 1984. So I just feel like it was much more difficult. If that is how they do it, then by all means, I was incorrect and I had the wrong
yeah.
mindset.
Well,
But
no,
like
it's just you.
remastered,
It's your
so
first
like
heavy metal album. I didn't know
right.
that. Like when I heard this album for the first time.
And so, like, the fact that this is remastered, was it more cluttered than now?
No, no, it's cleaner. You know, uh,
Okay.
um, and like cluttered is.
I
I,
feel like
I
that's a
understand what
negative
you're
trait.
getting to. I think when what you're talking about cluttered is more like the distortion and the feedback. That's just the aesthetics of it. Like that's just like what heavy metal sounds like.
Okay.
Everything is big. There's things that sound like the guitar, then there's the feedback of that guitar, then there's the other guitar, then there's the feedback of that guitar, then there's the drums and like all that. It's very big. So like I don't want to like push back on cluttered per se, but like it almost reminds me when people are like, rap is so loud. It's like, well, yeah. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, come on. You meant to blow your bass out.
But yeah, and it's like, but the difference is that, when you put together a song like these, he, it's understanding that, like, if you can't put this together and then play it live, it's not worth shit.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Very true.
So I think, even though I do think rappers put on great shows, I think, like, it's a different thing than that.
Very different.
You know? So do you want to go track by track?
Yeah, that works for me.
So Actually,
Should I just
I have to ask. I just have to ask. I've been dying to ask this question. What were your favorite
okay.
tracks?
My favorite tracks were "Fade to Black" because the majority of that song is actually slower and
It's a ballad,
more
yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. Um, besides that, "Creeping Death" was very good in my opinion.
That's my favorite song on the album.
Okay, that those two were the best. The worst ones, not that they were like bad, but the ones I enjoyed the least. Believe it or not, I did not like Escape, and when I did more research,
Holy,
apparently,
yeah, they
what?
hate that song.
Yeah, I was doing research. Apparently, this was like their attempt at a radio song,
Yeah,
and they hate it.
yeah, they refuse to play it live.
Wow, no
Yeah,
idea.
it's also the
Okay,
one that ladders up to the concept the worst.
I see.
Yeah, but like, now I disagree with them. I like Escape, but like,
I don't know. Personally, it just didn't really click.
that's fine. I definitely get it. It's funny because you're kind of picking the more, the ones they still play at the concerts. Like,
So I mean that one's that another one, and I honestly just think it's because of the positioning because that's what I was going to open up with. Just fight fire with fire. It's hard.
it's a
It's
lot.
very,
It's a lot. Like, look, here's the thing. Like,
it's
you,
too much.
I
To me.
think I disagree, but like that's fine. I understand. It's like, the thing is, okay, so this is heavy metal, but it's a subgenre of heavy metal called thrash metal, which
Okay.
was the dominant form of metal for like a long time. And basically just what that means is just it's heavy metal meant to be played as fast as can be.
That okay, then that lines up
Yeah.
perfectly.
Now
Because
the
like
but like
go
I
ahead.
understand it. Like I love Fight Fire with Fire because I think like the ultra aggressive riffing really plays up to like really works well with the lyrics, which are about nuclear annihilation.
Mhm.
Uh,
I feel like the thing is with me, because it's like you said, it's thrash, and that's a great word to describe it. This was a chant. Where the rest of the songs, the lyrics are actually somewhat lyrics. Even still, there's a lot of
yeah,
yelling.
it's like gruff. Yeah.
This is an actual like I can see freaking 100,000 people just like sitting there chanting like a
Oh,
militia.
oh my God. Speaking of
Like,
creeping death, do you know that? Do you know the breakdown when it's like die, die?
yeah,
When I saw them live and there was like 2,000 people chanting that with, oh my God.
you guys are like marching to hell. Like, what is going on?
Well, Fight Fire, it's literally about nuclear annihilation. I think that's like it. If that's why you don't like the song, that's completely fair. But like, it is like what the song's about.
It is what it's meant to be,
Yeah,
exactly.
and like,
Um, go ahead.
but yeah, no, like I totally understand that
Yeah.
that impression.
What I would say, the last one, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the call of whatever.
Cthulhu.
Um, it's interesting because one of the questions that you had asked me was, how do I feel about the long passages without vocals?
And this is
There are very, very. You were going to say something?
and this is a 9 minute instrumental song.
This is a 9 minute. This is dang near a fourth or a fifth of the album. Um, there are very few songs that I actually listen to that are instrumentals.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's like AU95 by Tyler is all instrumental.
yeah,
There is a Earl Sweatshirt song that's all instrumental, and there's selective songs throughout the industry that are very, very minimal words,
yeah. Hip
mostly
hop is
instrumental.
not. Well, that depends because is an entire culture of like producer albums, and those tend
Right,
to be
right, right.
instrumentals.
Yeah.
But
Um,
they are fundamentally different things than like the Call of Cthulhu.
literally.
They're just not
Um,
the same.
and that's what I was gonna say. Surprisingly enough, like those, I do listen to them, even though there's no words, and I get that feeling. This surprisingly fit. I didn't mind the 9 minutes. I will say I didn't finish the 9 minutes every time I listened to the album.
I don't either, to be honest with you. Like sometimes I do because like it's really good.
It is.
It's
It
it's
really
it's insane like how much you can put in like with musical instrument, like
like actually
you
though.
know, and like
So
how it can hold your attention.
yeah.
There's
So
a
it
song on the album before this called the album's called Kill 'Em All. It's called Anesthesia, and it's like a 5 minute bass solo, and it
Jesus
is brain melting.
Christ. um. So yeah, I mean that's how I thought about the song so far. Um, I then later on after a couple listens, I started looking at the numbers and like streaming and stuff like that. And I don't know if this is even accurate, given this is a 1984 album.
Yeah,
Um,
this is an album that had like most of its life was before the streaming even
exactly.
existed.
Right. So even the numbers that I'm seeing here aren't exactly accurate or that telling.
I think they're
But
as I think they're viable.
right. At least what I saw, like From Whom the Bell Tolls is insanely high, Fade to Black is insanely high, and there's this pretty jump downwards from there.
Yeah, those are the two most popular. Creeping Death, I think, it's extremely popular among the fans.
That was the third most popular.
Yeah,
So you're right.
and then to me, like I do think to me, I think like the first four songs are all incredible.
Hmm.
Trapped Under Ice is fun, but like it's kind of like whatever to me. Escape, like I actually for most of my life listening to this album, I skipped Escape.
Okay.
Yeah, and like, but you know, having re-listened to it in the last month, I actually do like it a lot more than I ever did. But I mean, James Hetfield agrees with you, so like, what? I can't get mad.
Right.
Now,
Um,
something real quick, just so like we can close this out. So, I think the thing I really like about the instrumental is how like the title plays with it and how that leads up to the concept.
okay.
And the whole thing is that have you ever heard of like Cthulhu?
I've heard of the name.
It's
I
an
don't know
ancient
it all.
it's a it's an old horror novel, right? And like Cthulhu's like this god that like if you even perceive it, you die, right? And like one of the ways you summon Cthulhu and then die is by spelling his name wrong, and it's spelt wrong in this.
Oh yeah, I read about that.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's what they were talking about because they were saying like, or some website was like, we low key wish like we spelled it correctly or something.
yeah. Well, I kind of like that they spelled it wrong because like when you spell it wrong,
That's the
that
whole purpose.
that's the whole point. And the whole to me, like I feel the song is just like this is the music of like losing your mind to the insanity of the universe. I think that's cool.
I get why you like heavy metal.
Yeah.
Not
Uh,
that I'm again.
so my question for you is: did you like For Whom the Bells Toll? I thought that would be one that you really liked.
Um, I didn't like not like it or anything like that. It was definitely more of like a middle of the pack to me. Um, I realized a lot of things. I don't know if this is the origin, but I feel like a lot of things discuss things about from whom the bell tolls.
For Whom the
Um,
Bell Tolls is a novel.
okay, then that makes sense then.
Yeah,
Because there's references in hip hop that discusses this. Like J. Cole has a song about
yeah.
this.
For Whom the Bell Tolls. Yeah, very different songs, but I think they both do deal with death.
Yes, yes, very
Yeah,
different song. But not against it. Yeah, not
yeah.
against it.
This one's really popular because like a lot of sports teams use it.
That makes sense.
Oh, another thing I was gonna say is like if you want to put yourself in the context of like when you would be listening to something like heavy metal socially in a way that's not like filled with metalheads, it's like locker room before a game type shit.
Hmm.
You know?
I can see it.
Yeah. What did you think of Ride the Lightning?
I did like that because it's kind of like it's me getting through fire with fire, and then it's like, okay, this is like the heavy metal.
Yeah, this
Um,
is yeah. Fight Fire with Fire is pretty overwhelming, but I think Ride the Lightning is a little bit more indicative of the rest of their sounds.
yeah, it was a nice song that comes up right afterwards. I did enjoy it. Um, I realized after that one, so that one was the first one that kind of had like lyrics. Um, I won't say lyrics don't have a place or play a role, but I think it is more beneficial to have a very basic base level of understanding in words chosen, if that makes sense. Like I feel like if they went overly complicated or added too many lyrics or use like what we call those big words that artists use and we love, I feel like if they use that, it would have taken away from the music.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
See, I think the lyrics in this album are actually like pretty top tier.
Hmm.
I understand your criticism about the delivery in Fight Fire with Fire specifically.
Right, right, right.
You know, I
And then
think I think the lyrics he's saying, uh, I mean, they're not subtle or complicated. It's literally like one verse is like blow the universe into nothingness. Nuclear warfare will lay us to rest.
right.
Not exactly subtle, but like does does the job of delivering on that concept.
So, Brent, with that being said, I thought about something. And I don't know if you already knew I was going to bring this up, but do you understand why I don't feel like Travis Scott needs to have very heavy lyric songs?
I think if Travis Scott like orchestrated an entire piece of music behind him, I would give him a lot more leeway. Yeah,
Like we've had this conversation where he was like, sometimes the lyrics aren't that good. I wish it was better lyrics, and I've always been like, I don't mind it.
yeah.
Like obviously it's hip hop, like you want good lyrics, but like there's never been a point where I'm like,
I can't believe you stuck Travis Scott into this Metallica conversation.
bro, Travis Scott was the closest thing I had to heavy
You
metal.
know what's crazy though is that I actually do agree that Travis Scott is the closest thing to this, but for a completely different reason.
Right, go on.
I
Let
just
me hear
think
your.
like the complexity of the instrumental behind him, and also I think the desire to change everything within to have these long songs that change sounds like four times.
Right,
You
and
know,
like
like I do think like, and I think a lot of it does give you that same effect as a really effective beat switch. Like to me, like I see that the Fight Fire with Fire, I see that as like a really sick like transition.
it's a perfect thing that you just brought up because that's another point I was gonna bring up about like the quote unquote beat switches. Because if we're comparing it, for me, the closest thing I had to it was Travis Scott. If I'm listening to sicko mode, I'm hearing these beat switches. The main difference that I saw between a hip hop beat switch and a heavy metal, I don't know if you want to call it beat switch, it the point of it in hip hop is that wow factor.
Yeah,
It's the sharp turn, and that's why I was saying like I feel like in hip hop it's composed, it's edited. Someone has to engineer those parts together. So you turn on sicko mode for the first
yeah,
time, you're Drake, and you're like, what the heck?
and the
Cut
music doesn't
changes.
yeah yeah
Like there's so much that goes into it. Whereas like in heavy metal, the way I was listening to it, it's like it's constructed, like it's composed. Like it's someone literally sitting there with a guitar, with drums, and they are flowing through the music, taking you to the next section of the song. There's no like hard cuts, I feel like, that I heard.
yeah. That's I mean that's certainly that is definitely true. Like that's just yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. Like because hip hop, and I think this is good because I think it unlocks creativity. You know, hip hop like the music doesn't need to confine to like the reality of like hitting a drum with a drumstick, like what that means for your hand, the sound that's going to make. Like you can tweak those sounds, you can build things up in a perfect way.
Right.
Um, that you just can't like when you're handling these massive orchestrations. You know, a song like "Ride the Lightning," which has like all these different passages. You know, and the other thing is like the culture of it. Like this music that you're recording, you also need to be able to play it live, or it's not worth anything.
Hmm.
Uh, So yeah, like I totally get how they are fundamentally different things. What I think they have in common that like I was kind of noticing as I've listened to this album over the last like couple months is I think like that element of contrast of like the like just that feeling of like how differently sicko mode sounds like when it switches, or how differently like after hours sounds, or how differently bleach sounds, like that feeling of like, oh my god, this is a completely different song but then it still works. I think that feeling is equivalent.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
And the other thing, uh I'm just gonna say it, I first off, one, I think the bar for lyrics in hip hop is just higher. Sorry,
Mhm.
like sorry.
No, you're right.
And the other
You
thing
are
is
right.
that I would say this album has better lyrics. It's just it's harder to understand. It's your first time listening to the genre. I understand like why someone in your position might not perceive it that way. I think it's very reasonable because like
You're saying like better lyrics and like
the lyrics
um
aren't centered in the music the same way they are in hip hop.
I'm tweaking. I thought you were saying like better lyrics than Travis Scott. So like this lyrics for this would be better in heavy metal than like Travis Scott lyrics for that would be better in hip hop.
Yeah, I
I
would say
thought.
comparatively, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, not like straight against, I don't think you
Hmm,
can compare it.
that wouldn't be fair.
I think yeah, no, that wouldn't be fair. The only thing is that I do think like comparing heavy metal to hip hop is just inherently interesting because their cultures are so similar.
In what sense? Like,
Just like the way that people build narratives around albums, the fact that it's an album forward genre for
okay,
like
yeah.
most of it, you know, like you know, it's the best shit was not ever on the radio. And I think we can all agree that like that's true of hip hop, that's true of heavy metal. It's not necessarily true of pop and rock music. You know, like I think of
Oh,
like who is the most creatively viable rock band today? I don't know, probably Foo Fighters, and they're all over the radio.
mm,
So, and like that's a good rock band. That's not a popular rock band. That's a good one. Versus like heavy metal, hip hop, they're much more album forward. Uh, they just have like a culture around them. There's ways of dressing, there's ways of talking, there's hotly debated debates on like when artists turn to shit and like which album's the classic and which one's not. Metallica, I am considered a heretic because I think this one is better than Master of Puppets, which I
mm,
think, which is like I think it's the equivalent of saying Good Kid, Mad City is better than To Pimp a Butterfly.
okay,
Master of Puppets is like objectively better, but
hmm,
like this one bangs a little harder. Like,
okay,
so I do think, and I do think there is similarities there. It's just not, so they're not aesthetic similarities.
hmm,
There are like, I mean, there are certainly like rock acts that are a little bit closer to hip hop aesthetically. There's metal acts that are, Rage Against the Machine. That was the other band that I was like, should I give them like a Rage Against the Machine album? Because like it's the same type of lyrics. But then I was like, I think we should jump head first. Like,
just not holding back.
well, yeah, another way I kind of see this, like if I was going to compare it to someone, is like if someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, I've never really listened to hip hop, but I want to take it seriously." Something I might recommend them is like College Dropout, something
Hmm,
that's like very authentic and like real hip hop, but also pretty approachable compared to the other parts of the genre. And I think this falls into that as well.
yeah, okay, I see that.
Yeah. And one last thing I just gotta say is that when you said "Fade to Black" was your favorite, this is my favorite song on the album too. It is, and I
Good
think it's legitimately one
song.
of the best songs ever written about suicide.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this is probably one of their best songs then.
I would say so. It was also like a lot of people think that song is the reason they sold out. Like that song broke their fan base to an extent.
Okay.
because it was slow. They were like, thrash bands don't do ballads.
Please give me something that I can listen to.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay.
yeah. Did you enjoy this experience?
Yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah,
I am glad I did it. Unfortunately, I don't think that like I'm going to now want to listen to much more heavy metal. I'll listen to it in passing by all means.
yeah.
Um,
I definitely have more albums I want you to listen to, but this is probably the one that's like heavy metal.
if you give me an album, I will listen to it. Like honestly.
Yeah, I think there's another one that's like another album I wanted to suggest was Toxicity by System of a Down.
Okay.
Uh, it's also very heavy, but like it has a lot of like Armenian folk music in it, and they the lyrics are very front and center in a way that
Mm,
isn't in this. Another one was like maybe Nirvana's Nevermind, which isn't heavy metal, it's grunge.
okay.
And every God knows the impact Kurt Cobain had on hip hop.
I was about to say I don't know what grunge is, but I know Nirvana.
Yeah.
um, what I would say, and another thing that I was kind of trying to pay attention to is where I listen to it and how I listen to it. I could see myself, like I said, I don't think I'll be like adding this to my like repertoire or anything like that, but I can see myself playing Rocket League, playing 2K, and throwing it on maybe.
Yeah. It's
Listen to something like
it's
that.
contextual, you know, like it's not what you play in the whip when girls are around. Like
Not at all.
but if you want to throw something, like
This might just be the thing.
yeah.
All right, but
All right. Do you want to
well,
do recommendations and then get out of here?
yeah, we can close it out. Um, one of the first songs I'll be doing is by Shabazz PBG. It is a song called Shells featuring Little Uzi. And as we said earlier, you're not gonna say no to Little Uzi.
No, you
This
just
man
can't.
is pretty good.
Little Uzi is great.
It's insane. I was watching an interview and it's literally like he even openly admitted sometimes to just say yeah at the end of the lyric so it can like rhyme, and it works. It works. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it just works. All right, this one I'm gonna continue with my trend of doing like more obscure tracks from like very established artists.
Okay.
So I'm picking "Unnecessary" from Childish Gambino's royalty mixtape with Schoolboy Q and Absol.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's it's like oh this was him trying to be as hip hop as possible, and I like the album. I don't think many people do. Like
It's just not at the best rating,
yeah,
but I like.
I love that album.
Now you just said, did I tell you that I was doing a playlist like that?
What? Oh, like obscure.
Yeah, I literally have a playlist like that I've been making the past week or so that I've been adding all of the like the thought process behind it was before I get into Doom, because Doom is known to be your favorite artist's favorite artist. I realized that there's a lot of music that like an artist makes that is personalized and not necessarily meant for like the radio or
Yeah,
whatever you might say. So I've been collecting all of the like rarer, less popular songs that are like unique to the artist for only big artists.
yeah.
So I've grabbed a bunch of songs from Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, etc.
This is not on Spotify, so I'm sorry you got to go to SoundCloud for the Instagram post.
No. This is something I've been making on Spotify. I'll send you the link.
Sick.
All right, but
I love that. That's a great idea.
no, yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. I've been adding the Kid Cudi stuff now.
Ooh.
Yeah, gotta prep for that now for Friday. um. Anyway, my next song is I might pronounce it wrong and I feel bad, but the group called Shay. It's older. It's called If I Ever Fall in Love. It's all vocals. It is so good.
Yeah.
R&B song.
Okay, so I'm also going to recommend an R&B song, and it
Okay.
also connects to our to Metallica in a weird way, in a very weird way, and that
So,
is I'm recommending "Shameless" by The Weeknd. And it's just because like it has a guitar part and I like to play it. And it's probably my second favorite riff to play, besides for Fade to Black.
Okay.
Yeah, just very fun. There's like I'm not very good at guitar. Like I am not good. uh, but like there are some things that are just very fun to play. I learned how to play this. It's just like a fun little song.
I was literally about to say, I didn't even know you play guitar, bro.
Yeah, I got one in my room. It's right here.
All right, no.
My thing is that like I'm very bad at playing music like heavy metal.
Yeah.
I have an acoustic guitar. Like
Okay. Um, then I'll just close it out, or we'll close it out. My last one is a song called "Chicago" by Michael Jackson. It's been popping off
incredible.
on social media. Such a good song.
He's
Surprisingly, that's my first like Michael. I think both of our first Michael Jackson recommendation.
Jesus Christ. He's great though.
He is great.
Yeah.
One of the legends.
All right, so I'm recommending a classic, but before I recommend it, I want to talk about how I got there because it's something that Tidal put together, a playlist they put together, and it is probably the most genius playlist I've ever heard.
Okay.
And they did it for a bunch of different genres, but I think hip hop specifically, I think this is kind of something we need to do because it was hip hop that was like unadulterated. It was music like the one I'm going to recommend, but like specifically stuff that you could show your kids without like alienating them.
Okay.
So it was like kid friendly. So I'm recommending Kick Push by Lupe Fiasco.
I love it.
Yeah, so it was like it wasn't like baby shit. It was like good music, but it was the stuff that's like on the cleaner side and like it's like not Griselda. Like
Not drugs and
yeah, Future's not on this playlist. Like, but
right.
like God's Plan by Drake is like
Honestly,
not a bad. No, like I would
I
not.
like the idea.
I would have. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think a kid friendly hip hop playlist is something I would pay someone to put together for me.
That's an amazing idea.
Yeah. And like once again, I'll send you. I'll go find the playlist. I'll send you all the tracks. Like, because it's interesting. Because it is like once again, like "God's Plan" by Drake was one of the songs, and it's like, oh, yeah, you're right. That is a song that I would not be upset if my kids heard. Like,
literally.
yeah. Oh, I have it right here. Like, "I Can" by Nas. "Jump" by Chris. Yeah, "Jump" by Criss Cross.
Wow.
"Just a Friend" Biz Markie. "Good Life" Kanye West and T-Pain.
Bro, this is dope.
Yeah, like all good songs. Like
Actually good song.
"Lose Control" Missy Elliott and Sierra. Like "You Can't Touch This" MC Hammer. Like "Sunflower" Post Malone. Like yeah, like it's dope. Like
Oh, I'm sold.
yeah.
I'm fully bought in.
Yeah, no, great playlist idea. Happy that's a thing.
All right, but I hope to find something like that on Spotify.
I'm sure you could.
Well, okay.
All right, well, we're signing off.
A longer one.
Not much. We're under 2 hours. That's fine.
It's very much worth it.
Very much worth it. All right, this will like, follow, subscribe, do the whole thing. Be back next week
For round 2.